Ketso is a hands-on kit for creative group work. Its origins were in community planning, and this video talks a little bit about using Ketso in community planning to support effective group work and decision-making. Ketso was invented in Lesotho in southern Africa in 1995. I was working with villagers to plan a more sustainable future, and I wanted to find a way to really find out what mattered to people and encourage everybody to have a voice, even where they were speaking different languages or had different literacy levels. I also found that the women didn't tend to speak in mixed gender groups. So I combined elements of participatory rural appraisal and the idea of moving pieces around with mind mapping and creative thinking tools to actually develop a toolkit that would allow everybody to have a voice and develop creative solutions. Because everybody can develop their ideas at the same time using the leaves to draw or write their ideas, it makes really effective use of people's time. The different colours of leaves can be used to encourage participants to consider their ideas from different perspectives. For instance, in my PhD, I tested Ketso in developing a community plan for a former landfill site in North Manchester from Austen Vale. I started with the brown leaves, the soil that we had to grow ideas in. This was what's good about the area, what do you like, what do we want to keep? And the participants said afterwards that that was so important that I went in first and asked, what do you like, what's good? Rather than coming in and saying, what are your problems? It sets up such a different power dynamic. But you do want people to think creatively, so the green leaves are here to encourage people to think of new ideas, what the shoots of new thinking, what could they do differently? It's important to think of the barriers, so you do include grey leaves. What are the problems? These are the mouldy leaves. But we say that these mouldy leaves need to be regreened, they need to be turned into solutions and actually used as a stimulus for further creative thinking of ways to solve those problems. It's important as well in community planning to think of what are the goals, what's really important to people. But I find it's a great idea to get all the ideas on the table first and allow people to make their own connections and think through issues, then start to prioritize and filter ideas down using these icons to say what's important to them, what advances their goals, and use that information and that filtering to develop a real vision of what they'd like to do in the future. And as people start to see other people's ideas building into a group picture, they get more of a sense of what they could do together. And often they see things from perspectives they've never seen before. I had one lady in the workshop in Austen Vale say, in some surprise, I've never seen that park from the perspective of a dog walker before, and now I understand better why we actually need to make it easier for people to walk their dogs there. Often in community planning, you're going into a situation where there's been plans before, there's been consultation before, and it's really important to find out what's happened in the past. And I find that if you can actually write some of the key ideas that have come up from earlier consultations, from earlier work, down onto leaves, and actually introduce that into the workshop. Give people time first to develop their own thinking, their own ideas. What are they thinking at the moment? And then say, now these were the ideas that you were thinking of, say, a year or two ago, or that came out from an earlier consultation. Are they still important? Does this still fit? What do we think now? That is an amazing way to build trust, to build confidence and continuity. And the fact that these ideas are embodied, they're there on the felt, gives people some confidence their voice is being heard. Here, for instance, we've got somebody pointing at the final plan from Austen Vale and saying, that was my idea, that was what I thought of. And they could see that their ideas had actually been listened to. And of course, from my perspective as a community planner, I can find out what people want, what really matters to them. Because often, if you just go in with some plans and say, what do you think? People struggle to articulate their ideas. But this gives simple, easy stages for people to develop their thinking and really get to the core of what's important for them and their area. Engaging people in developing their plan and thinking through the key issues builds not just skills, but also enthusiasm and buy-in. In fact, the enthusiasm generated by this planning process helped the Newlands project take Austen Vale from the bottom of the list of priorities for funding to the top, and that landscape was transformed with £1.7 million of funding. If you'd like to learn more about planning a workshop and hints and tips for effective group work, We have more videos available on Ketso.com, as well as case studies on Ketso in use in Moston Vale, in Fellside Forum in Kendal, and in various other community planning and engagement workshops. These tools are available open source at Ketso.com.